Okay, we got cut off. So yeah, of course they're saying we have an attorney for you. However, this lady is showing to be a part of the same group of people of everyone else in the courtroom, and showing that she is pretty close to the people who are having a problem with me, or who are the sadistic bullies. And so in my brain, I was like, you're not going to really defend me when you're friends with these people whom I'm the only one here don't know no one. Okay? So here's how they're playing stuff, and tell me what this means. So initially when I came in, it was for them telling me that they're going to be discussing my child. So I showed up on a special appearance. When I gave them the challenge of jurisdiction and personal matter, subject matter jurisdiction, I was told by the judge, you can't just throw it on them. You have to give them time to go over, because they couldn't provide an answer to what gave them jurisdiction or subject matter. Now, at the same time, they had placed all the things that they were saying about me in front of me. And so when I said, well, I'm presenting, I don't want to really answer any of this, what's going on, these questions, I said, because I'm presenting personal and subject matter jurisdiction challenge. The petitioner didn't have an answer to that, so we was made to come back because she was supposed to be seeking out an answer. Now, we return and they still don't supply an answer. They're moving forward as though they've already convicted me of something, and I told them, even already letting them know, hey, you haven't given me due process to answer any of this stuff, so this is why the challenge is presented to you, which the case is supposed to be thrown out. So we come back, she still doesn't provide an answer, and they're moving forward as though I'm some kind of criminal without giving me any kind of answers to anything. And so then, in this recent one, the petitioner, the lady who's supposed to be the judge, so-called, or the attorney, so-called, for the opposing party, I'm realizing she's not doing anything but saying everything that I say. So when I tell her, I'm not giving due process, she says she wasn't given due process on the basis of the first appearance. The judge told me to take my response, the things that I'm presenting to them, and put it in the clerk's office, and the clerk is required to serve the other parties, the other attorneys and everyone else who needed to be served. She told me this. Now, if they are recording like they told me they were doing, because they would not allow me to record, then they have this on record where the judge told me to do that. Okay? And then when they wanted to change it again, because I spoke with the foster care and let them know, well, I don't want to be a part of this because criminal charges may come out of this against you all on how you operated with me, right? When I begin to say those things, then the judge was saying, oh, well, did you serve the people? Did you give them this and give them that? And I've been telling her, well, I've been going into the clerk, dropping off these papers like you told me to do previously, saying that they will get the papers. And so when I started bringing up those things, then all of a sudden the petitioner or the attorney from the other side starts saying, oh, yeah, I do got this, but there's a problem with that. Right? So that now she's admitting that they were getting the paperwork of any kind of thing that I needed, concern that I needed to let the courts know and let them know regarding my child. Okay? So my question is, then all of a sudden, everything that I needed to say concerning my child was getting thrown out. And then while they're trying to tell me or threaten me with all kinds of jail, I'm going to jail with all kinds of, they're using Darvel abuse. They're switching around the things that I said to them in request for help for my child and then blaming it onto my disabilities. And it just got really weird, right? So I'm looking at her and I'm like, why are you saying everything that I'm saying, right? And then they're going, oh, well, well, we wasn't given due process for this. And I'm looking at the judge like, this is what you're going to let happen? So I don't get due process. No one has to answer for them doing that onto me, or just dropping something in my lap, kidnapping my child, withholding his whereabouts, not telling me where he is. Everyone gets to operate, right? With me left in the gray area. But you seem to understand when this lady says it, because she holds a title calling herself an attorney or a lawyer. But if we're presenting the same kind of information or the same argument, the fact that I'm not called an attorney or a lawyer gives you the right to disregard that information, right? So now they want to, a scenario where I have to come back. They want me to return again while I'm in the midst of everyone who talk amongst each other and how they're going to play their role and try to do a setup, right? They want me to return again, and now they're putting me in a situation where the so-called state attorney is saying that she doesn't want to represent me, or she doesn't want to provide legal advice because she feels like I need to listen to everything that she says, because she told me from the beginning, if I allow her to represent me, I don't get to speak. And I said, well, that's going to be difficult with you not knowing the facts of the situation. And then you may say something that is incorrect, right? And then I won't have the free will to correct it because I can't speak. So now this attorney doesn't want to be a legal representative. But when I was expressing to them, it's going to be difficult for her to be a legal representative, not understanding disabilities that I myself carry, and that this so-called attorney who's supposed to be working for my son wants to deny, right? So they got the paperwork of medical stuff, and then she's up there saying, well, because you wrote on it, I don't want to accept it as evidence of needing medical care. And everyone keeps throwing around, you don't know what you're doing to me. And I'm looking at them and I'm going, well, of course I don't know what I'm doing when you're trying to convince me that this is a place of justice and correction and doing the right thing. And all I see you doing is fucking up some shit. You don't seem too concerned about me nor my child. You don't seem too concerned about injustice when all the blame of it is placed in my direction. And so, yeah, I don't know what's going on. However, the truth is the truth. And because I won't come in here and play a game when I'm at a disadvantage, I won't play a game when my child's health or mental health or behavioral health or safety, him needing medical attention, has just been thrown out the window. Right? Now, if ideation, or however you say it, was an issue when the psychiatrist told my child to return back into the hospital, the question is, who was threatened? Was it my life that was threatened? Or was it his life that he threatened? And whichever way you want to do it, if it was my life, how then do you turn it around and say that I'm the criminal? Right? When I've been expressing this entire time, hey, he might need an evaluation. There's a lot of grief and trauma that's been happening around our family. Right? If it's him saying it onto himself, again, how do I become the criminal? Because again, I've reached out and said, hey, we might need some evaluations done. We might need some attention to this scenario. Right? But because you guys have failed on my older child, when I was saying the same thing for his case or for his cause, now all of a sudden somebody has to blame. And the only person you can think to blame is the one who came to you seeking assistance for you to act unjust and show yourself unworthy of anybody coming to you for anything. You're showing yourself unworthy to care for myself. You're showing yourself unworthy to care for my child. You're showing yourself to unworthy to even work in the career field that you're working in for juveniles or children who may be showing themselves of troubled behavior. So if someone can tell me what that setup is, because I don't get it. Why is this lady sitting across from me saying every fucking thing that I'm saying? She's just doing a switcheroo. Oh yeah, I wasn't served either. Oh yeah, I got it. But all because I said you were supposed to do due process. What the fuck is happening? Right? And I don't want to keep going to that. I can't. And it's not contempt. I don't contempt the court for anything. However, I'm preserving my life, right? Self-preservation, when I know and I see that you're putting in every effort you can to attack me mentally, to attack me physically, when I'm the only one having to move in and out of this 109-degree sun and weather, trying to get down here to these places where you leave me walk in the halls for three hours because you guys are trying to set up the play script on who's going to be who and who's going to be what. And then you're sitting in there huffing and puffing all that. Anytime it was my turn to talk, right, it was like the whole congregation was right? Trying to make me feel discouraged for trying to tell them the truth. But anytime this other lady said the same thing that I said, then all of a sudden it made exact sense. I don't want to play that. If it's outside of your means to return a child that has been kidnapped from you kidnapping them from the public trust areas of hospitals and schools and things like that, then just say that. Just say, we don't know how we're going to get him back to you without telling on ourselves. And so we're going to keep playing this scenario of dragging you in and out of court. Why are we even in juvenile court? I'm not a juvenile. Right? And then if you haven't provided me any facts of what you're saying, I'm just in there because basically someone said something to you, someone so-called called and said something to you, and you took it as face value, and now you want to come at me, but don't actually want to hear the truth of what happened because you have already jumped the gun and operated criminally against me on the basis of believing what a child said to you who may be suffering from the behavioral stuff that I said that he is possibly suffering from. All while you're trying to threaten me with coming at me about my disabilities. That doesn't make sense. If the disabilities are acceptable in him, then they should be just as acceptable in me. Women, you make it difficult when you're complaining about these dudes not liking us and not wanting to be in relationships and tired of the bullshit when you show it to me. I mean, I feel bad for the men. I feel bad for the ones who marry these type of women and females. And then you feel upset, you feel some type of way towards me if that same kind of dude would show me attention, because I don't carry myself in the way that you are carrying yourselves. Right? And I have complete understanding. If you want to say I don't understand anything about the court, I have complete understanding about a man being tired of a so-called woman acting in the ways that you guys are acting. You destroy his life on lies. You attack and antagonize to destroy his life. You want to feel like you're the cream of the crop and everybody should find you beautiful, and yet your spirit is ugly. Right? You're so jealous and envious of another woman that you are willing to stoop to these degrees and levels that you're stooping to with me on the basis of what? Appearance? Right? So let's just, it's not all men. Relationships can't work because you guys don't even know how to operate justly amongst each other. There's so much more to say, but it's just like when there's no words for the level of disgust that it is that you're showing, representing the Afro-Negro American people, all to appease the two Caucasian or his Caucasian race females who are sitting there. And I get it. Maybe they're just trying to get practice being attorneys and lawyers, and you have to be, not so hard on them because they're trying to learn their career or their job. However, the fact that you're disregarding a mom who has genuine concern about their children and their child still says that your priorities are out of order. Right? Play that game with someone else, but not with taking their children away. This is how come when I walked up there the other day, or at the last court appearance, you guys were getting cussed out by another mom whose child you decided to play with. Nobody wants to play that game. When you're a woman, that is not a game to play. Right? So you're going to have to do something different. Maybe you need to find another career choice. If you're not going to actually do it in a way of caring for the child and caring for the families.